Unfortunate incidents can happen on any cruise ship, but when something goes wrong on a brand new vessel, people start asking questions. And that's exactly what just happened aboard Royal Caribbean's brand new Star of the Seas. The ship has only recently set sail, and while reviews have been glowing so far, one unexpected incident has raised a lot of eyebrows.
Royal Caribbean's Star of the Seas is nothing short of a floating city. It's the cruise line's second Icon-class ship, following the record-breaking Icon of the Seas. We're talking about a ship that can carry more than 5,600 passengers and over 2,300 crew members. That's nearly 8,000 people living, working, and vacationing at sea. At 250,800 gross tons, this ship is stacked with entertainment, 6 record-shattering water slides, more than 40 dining options, and 20 full decks of experiences. It's a marvel of modern engineering, and yet even a ship this advanced isn't immune to problems. On a recent voyage, something surprising happened on Deck 15. Passengers suddenly heard a loud noise, described by one TikTok user as sounding like a tire exploding. But it wasn't a tire, it was glass. A large pane on Deck 15 suddenly shattered, sending shockwaves of concern throughout the ship. This was one of the glass panels that served as transparent railings, giving cruise passengers an incredible experience of viewing the ocean from above. The video posted on TikTok by the account Magic Paving and Concrete shows exactly what happened, and within moments, Royal Caribbean's crew sprang into action. They quickly assessed the situation, secured the area, and kept passengers away. The good news? No one was injured. The crew handled it with speed and professionalism, preventing what could have been a much bigger incident. The broken glass was then covered, and the crew set up barriers and warning signs to ensure no passengers could get close. Of course, once the video hit TikTok, the debate exploded. Some passengers applauded the crew for acting so fast, saying the situation could have been much worse if not for their quick response. Others, however, raised concerns, pointing out that this ship is brand new, and problems like this shouldn't be happening so soon. And here's where things get even more interesting. This wasn't the only glass-related issue this month. A similar incident was reported on the Icon of the Seas earlier in August. 2 ships, same type of problem, within weeks of each other. So what does this mean? Is it just bad luck? A rare but harmless accident that can happen on any ship? Or could it point to a bigger issue with the design or materials being used on these massive new vessels? The truth is, cruise ships are like floating skyscrapers. They face constant stress from the sea, weather, and thousands of people moving around daily. Sometimes, materials fail, and when they do, it usually gets fixed quickly and quietly. But because this happened on Royal Caribbean's newest flagship, it's drawing way more attention. For now, it doesn't appear to be a major safety concern. But the question remains, should we be worried about more incidents like this in the future? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. The next interesting piece of news involves an unexpected health situation that occurred to the passengers while on board a cruise ship. On August 24th, 2 passengers were urgently airlifted from a Princess cruise ship. This incident provides a stark reminder of what can happen when a sudden medical emergency strikes in the middle of the ocean. The first was a 99-year-old man suffering from a severe esophageal blockage, basically a complete obstruction in the tube that connects the throat to the stomach. For someone his age, this was an extremely dangerous emergency. The second was a 52-year-old woman who had gone into sudden cardiac arrest. She was placed on life support and needed to be rushed to a hospital as soon as possible. What happened next was a textbook example of international cooperation at sea. Canada scrambled a CH-149 Cormorant helicopter and a CC-295 Kingfisher aircraft from the Royal Canadian Air Force's 19 Wing at Comox. Meanwhile, the U.S. Coast Guard deployed an MH-65 Dolphin helicopter from Port Angeles, Washington. These 2 countries worked together, coordinating their flights over open waters to reach the Ruby Princess, which at that time was sailing 145 nautical miles off the coast of Washington on its 11-night Alaska voyage. Honestly, the rescue itself was nothing short of cinematic. In a 42-second video clip, you can see a rescue swimmer being lowered down onto the Ruby Princess as the helicopter hovers above the massive ship. Moments later, the 99-year-old passenger is carefully strapped into a metal rescue basket and hoisted up into the air. The video even shows the helicopter's tracking data, including its final approach as it circles the Ruby Princess before making the pickup. Meanwhile, the 52-year-old woman was lifted by the Canadian CH-149 Cormorant and flown directly to Royal Jubilee Hospital in Victoria, British Columbia. The U.S. MH-65 Dolphin transported the 99-year-old man. Both missions were completed successfully. What's remarkable is that despite the chaos, the Ruby Princess continued its Alaska itinerary without disruption. None of the planned port stops, Ketchikan, Tracy Arm Fjord, Juneau, Sitka, or Victoria, were affected. The ship had departed from San Francisco on August 22nd and is scheduled to return there on September 2nd. For passengers on board, it was a surreal moment, watching helicopters circle their cruise ship in the middle of the ocean, knowing lives were being saved right above them. The final piece of news concerns a photo that has shocked the cruise community. It serves as a wake-up call for parents about the dangers of letting their children play on a cruise ship balcony. The photo shows a child wearing only a swimsuit, precariously standing on a table near the edge of their private balcony. If the child had slipped, they would have been close enough to topple straight overboard. We don't know exactly which ship this happened on, but based on the white balcony divider and the gray privacy wall, many believe it looks like a Norwegian Cruise Line Breakaway or Breakaway Plus class ship. Norwegian does have a policy that requires all passengers under 18 to stay in the same or an adjoining cabin with a parent or guardian. But in this case, the child appeared to be watched by an adult who was more focused on taking selfies than stopping this dangerous stunt. As soon as the photo started spreading, cruise fans lit up social media with shock and anger. One parent wrote, "Absolutely not. I wouldn't even let my 5-year-old near the balcony without me, let alone standing on a table." Another commenter added, "Some people just shouldn't have kids. I wouldn't even let a child stand on a table, period." And perhaps the most telling comment, "Nobody falls off a cruise ship if things are done right. Watch your kids and teach them what not to do." For many parents, the photo was less about outrage and more about pure fear. While some adults might see a cute or funny photo opportunity, the reality is terrifying. If that child had fallen, survival would depend on dozens of variables: the height of the fall, whether the ship was moving, and how quickly rescue crews could respond. Statistics show that only 17 to 25% of overboard cases result in a successful rescue. Ships can't just stop instantly, and every minute counts when someone is in the water. And here's something many cruisers don't know. If crew members witness this kind of balcony misuse, the family could face strict consequences. Security teams can restrict access to balconies or even remove the balcony door handles if they believe passengers are creating unsafe conditions. And if you think this is just overreacting, here's the chilling reality. A very similar incident already happened this summer. On June 29th, 2025, aboard the Disney Dream, a young girl decided to climb the railings while her parents were distracted playing shuffleboard. She slipped and fell into the ocean. Her father, 37 years old, made a split-second decision to leap into the water after her. For nearly 20 minutes, the two struggled until a rescue boat reached them. Miraculously, both survived. But stories like this prove just how close these moments can come to ending in tragedy. So what do you think? Should cruise lines enforce stricter rules about children on balconies, or is this purely the responsibility of parents?